Hello, I'm Cindy McGinty. My husband Mike lost his life while working in the World Trade Center on September 11th. He graduated from the United States Naval Academy in 1981 and was honorably discharged as a lieutenant commander in 1989. He worked hard in his career at Marsh McLennan in the Power and Utilities Group. He was a loving husband and a fantastic father to our two beautiful sons. Together, we were involved in our church and our community, and he kept our yard looking fantastic, which I'll tell you about in a minute. Mike was a good man. So, why do bad things happen to good people like Mike? Millions asked that same exact question following 9/11. I certainly did many times. And finally, I discovered the answer, at least what the answer is for me. But before I tell you what the answer is, I want to tell you how I figured it out. My sons, Daniel, David, and I, were the only ones living in Foxborough, Massachusetts, who lost a family member on 9/11. Daniel was 8 at the time, and David was 7. On the street where we lived, everyone took pride in their homes, and after 9/11, it was my fear that everybody would know where the widow McGinty lived just by driving past my house. I was afraid it would be the one where the grass was getting long, weeds were sprouting, and leaves were piling up. You see, Mike loved to work in the yard every weekend, planting, mulching, weeding. He learned everything from a book, and he was so proud. It was the first house he had ever owned, and our yard was truly a reflection of him. Needless to say, in the days and weeks after Mike died, keeping up the lawn was not my first priority. And so, as I said, I was afraid everybody would know where the widow McGinty lived. That is, until the day that Chris Mitchell showed up. I didn't know Chris very well. He's a longtime resident of Foxborough, very involved in the Cub Scouts and the Boy Scouts, and he runs a local landscaping firm. But a couple of weeks after 9/11, he shows up and he mows my lawn. A week after that, he did it again, and then a week later, he did it again. And I said, Chris, and he said, Cindy, don't worry about it. Focus on your sons, focus on your life. Leave your lawn to me and my guys. Then, on that very first Mother's Day following 9/11, Chris says, Cindy, there's a few extra things we need to do around the house. Don't worry about it, but you might see some extra activity, okay? Okay, Chris. The next thing I know, plants start being delivered, trees are coming down, and Chris, along with a team of Boy Scouts and their fathers, converge on my yard, and for Mother's Day, they re-landscaped my entire front yard and laid down a walkway to my front door. And they planted a tree in Mike's memory in my front yard. True to his word, every week, Chris or someone from his crew continued to show up. Every week for the next 8 years, Chris Mitchell took care of my home, never accepting a dime, giving new meaning to the words, never forget. Fortunately for Chris, we moved to Connecticut last December. But when we were getting ready to move, Chris shows up with more Boy Scouts, and he helped me clean out my basement and my garage. This was Chris Mitchell teaching young men about the value of service and giving. And I'm thrilled to tell you that Chris Mitchell and his wonderful wife, Paula, are here with us tonight. And although I know Chris is going to be mad at me, I'm going to ask Chris and Paula to stand up, please. Thank you so much, Chris. And so, why do bad things happen to good people? For me, it's so that good people might go on to do more good things for others. With Chris as my role model, I helped to start the Mass Military Heroes Fund, which provides support services and programs to military families in Massachusetts who lost loved ones in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Mass Military Heroes Fund was the idea of the late Senator Edward M. Kennedy and was supported by many of the Massachusetts 9/11 families. Families have told us that their sons and daughters enlisted because of 9/11, because of what happened to Mike and others. So some of the 9/11 families in Massachusetts, with Senator Kennedy's help, wanted to support them because of the incredible way that they were supporting us, and still are to this day. The Mass Military Heroes Fund is truly a wonderful organization, and I'm very, very proud to be a member of its board of directors. Would I have been so involved in helping others if I hadn't lost Mike? Probably not. Would I have been so involved if not for Chris Mitchell showing me the value of helping others in need? Probably not. Is it possible, as horrible as it was, that there are blessings that came from 9/11? Yes, absolutely. Thanks to the outpouring of love and support from so many people, Chris Mitchell, Senator Kennedy, and more, my sons and I learned through the kindness of strangers about the value of service and paying it forward. The horrible people who planned that horrible day thought they were making us weaker, but they made us stronger. They thought they were going to tear us apart. They thought they were going to tear us apart. They brought us together. They showed me and millions of people across the country that love overcomes hate, giving overcomes fear, and that the incredible strength that comes from service and togetherness overcomes all else. Chris Mitchell cut my grass and he raised us up. Thanks to him, I'm trying to do the same for others in Massachusetts, and maybe you can too. Thank you very much.